Oh my gosh, it is really happening. It has been a crazy busy week, and I think I am still in shock trying to digest the news that after a year of praying and waiting, I get to be a pastor at Mason Global Methodist Church. I really will be living on the edge of art. And so I want to talk about that today. This is Stella Burkhalter. This is my podcast. So I guess part of my freaking out is realizing that I am moving. I've lived in Austin for, 30 years? But thankfully, I'm moving slowly as Hunter will still be working here part of the week, and I will be here in Austin part of the week. But it's a lot to digest, and it's also a lot to deal with because, as I mentioned, our cabin was gutted in anticipation of retirement and moving, and so I'm going to have to live in a construction zone or work out something else. And so, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to take a little break from the podcast, but I definitely want to continue. Part of the plan that I have for our new place is making myself a little podcast studio because I love doing this and I hope I can keep doing it and start to build it. And so I really am just in awe that, as the psalm says, my cup runs over, that this dream is coming true. I'm in awe of all of the comments on my Facebook post about it. Just reading through all the names, new friends in Mason and family and relatives and so many people in the churches that I've pastored, and just looking at all the names of the comments and likes and congratulations, just my heart filled with overflowing for these people that I've had the opportunity to know and to minister to, and it's been really joyful. So my head is full. I've had a few meetings this week to talk to people and try to get acclimated to a new church, and I'm realizing that I can do this, even though it's overwhelming. There's a lot to think about. I can do this because I've done it 7 times. This will be the 7th time I've started as a church. Although I started at Covenant twice because I went there as a student and then again as a pastor. And so 7 is a big number in the Bible, the number of completion. And so I'm joyful that it will be my 7th start and possibly my last. In the Global Methodist Church denomination, there's a different system of deploying pastors, which meant that I didn't automatically get a church right away, which was tough, but the churches have more say in the pastors they receive, and the pastors have more say in the churches that they go to, and if the church is happy and the pastor is happy, they try to keep them there, more so than in our previous denomination that would try to fill pulpits as pastors would retire. And so I can really put down roots, and I'm excited about that. I've been preaching there, and so it's just so wonderful to stand by the door and Hunter by my side and greet people as they came in, and to realize that I'm starting to know them and starting to love them, and it just felt like I was in my own skin again. And so I went back and forth this week on whether I could pull off this podcast because, like I said, I've got a ton going on. But I decided to cheat a little bit. God bless me and gave me a way to cheat and do this quickly. And there's going to be a video coming up that I want to tell you about. Okay, so in 2021, I've gotten pretty good at making little videos with my phone because I had to do it through COVID, and you probably had to as well, or nowadays we all kind of do make little videos with our phones. And I had written a book about praying the Greek alphabet, and it had been published, and it was really, really cool. I broke even, which was my goal, on how many books I sold, and it's still out there. So that was such a joy to do that I thought, well, I'm going to write another book. What's my next book going to be? And as I kept my eyes open for an idea for another book, I thought about reading through the Bible, as I've done in this podcast, as I enjoy doing, leading people through the Bible, and finding ways to make it accessible and less scary, because I know it was for me before I just jumped in. Like, how do you even read the Bible? And so the book that I started, that maybe someday I will write, was called The Bible in 40 Words. I preached a sermon series in Kyle on the Bible in 40 words as sort of a practice, a way to work out that idea of having one word a week. And the idea for this book, for this sermon series, and the little videos that I made to go with it, was that there's a word every week and a book or a few books, just as I've done on this podcast, encouraging you to read every week. But even if you can't read it all, just read part of it. And even if you can't read part of it, take this one word and meditate on it and think about it and pray about it and let that one word speak to you. Because if you could just start, with a word, a sentence, a verse, a chapter, you'll get drawn in. You'll develop some competency in reading the Bible, and you'll develop joy in it to where it will become a lifelong thing. And so back in 2021, I made 40 videos, 40, 2 to 5 minute videos explaining that book or that week's reading, and giving a little flavor, giving a little sort of preview, and giving a word, so that even if you can only watch a 2-3 minute video, you're going to come away with a word. And so if you go to my YouTube channel, which is linked on my website, pastorstella.net, you will see that those videos are still there on YouTube. And so I did a video for the book of Revelation. And so since I don't have time to do a full-blown podcast today, and I didn't have time to outline really well, I'm just going to continue here with that, because I think it holds up pretty well. Sometimes when I go back to old stuff I've done, I go, that didn't hold up very well. But I think this one does, mostly because I've got great material, the Bible. The word for the week when I did the Bible in 40 words was victory. Victory, because the book of Revelation is the last book in the Bible, is about how it all ends, that we win. And that's just an amazing way to live your life, just knowing that in the end, God wins. And we who become his children and follow him and follow Jesus, we also win. And so I say some things about that. One of the things that was new to me when I read Revelation again was a line in the beginning about a door that no one could open. There's these seals that get broken and these things that get revealed in this revelation. And I just thought about how much I've prayed for an open door. And I couldn't open the door myself, and no one could open it for me. Only God could open that door to the next chapter. And it's a good thing to remember when you're living on the edge and waiting for something, that God will open the door. And no one else can. But God can and will. So I sat on the porch at the ranch with my cup of coffee on a cool morning, and I read the very end, the view of what heaven is. And so I give you this little video to encourage you to read Revelation. And it will encourage you that even if you start with a word, that's a good thing. The church that I'm going to in Mason does not have live streaming, but they're working on it, and they almost got there last week. This is supposed to be the week that it starts. And so I'll be putting information out. You can watch the service, listen to my sermons. I'd love for you to do that. I'd love for you to give me feedback and drop in. Hopefully that will happen. But here's a little bit about Revelation. We've reached the end, and I hope to see you in a future podcast in a few weeks. Enjoy. Hi, friends. We are here with the Tree of Life in our series, The Bible in 40 Words, and this will be our last video. I brought Kleenex in case you're crying about it. We're going to be reading the book of Revelation. I also brought Kleenex for that. Most people I know are okay reading the Bible, but they get really worried and scared when it comes to the book of Revelation. What do I make of this book? What do I make of this story? All these weird symbols. But you can do this. You read Daniel and Ezekiel, and it was the same kind of literature, apocalyptic literature. You can do this. John Wesley did say that the book of Revelation was written with tears, and so we can expect tears when we read it. But hang in, because this was written by people who were worried about their world, worried about the future, and a lot of us are in that place right now. I heard someone joke the other day that they feel like the end of the world is near and we're probably saddling up the 4 horses of the apocalypse. This was a book written to give hope to people who were worried about the future. And the best interpreters of the book of Revelation have really been the artists of the world, the musicians, the painters, because the imagery in Revelation is like nothing else. And so it's important to remember as you read that Revelation is a vision, it's a dream. And so think about how you would interpret your dreams. Your dreams may be full of strange symbols that don't make a lot of sense. But when I've read about dream interpretation, it says, don't focus so much on the details. Focus on what you're feeling in the dream. And so as you read Revelation, focus on the feelings. They're the feelings of fear and awe and wonder, but also the feeling of victory, that Christ defeats all in the end, that God wins, that we win in the end. And so our word this week is victory, and I want to encourage you to just hold on to that word. If you're a little overwhelmed by reading Revelation, let me recommend 2 things. First of all, read the beginning. The angel speaks to the 7 churches and tells them what they need to hear, and so much of this could be written for our churches today. The ways that we lose faith, the ways that we lose sight of the main thing. So read that part. But more than anything else, if you do nothing else, read the last 2 chapters, 21 and 22, because they give the vision, the tree of life. They give a vision of heaven, and it is a beautiful, beautiful vision. It gives hope. I had a professor say that John, the writer of Revelation, was a person in the Bible who could see the least. He was in a jail cell, probably looking through a slit this big, and yet he gives the biggest vision in the Bible, and it's a beautiful one. Have your Kleenex ready? Happy reading.